In the first episode, Elementool consultants Bob and Allison visited Intech to try to find out why they're having problems with projects being late and over budget. They soon discovered that Interactive Director Paul is in denial about the team's communication issues. Developer Mary is frustrated with her coworker Hank, and Hank blames everyone but himself for the company's problems.
So, what do you do when you're not here?
What do you mean, for fun?
Yeah.
I don't know. Hang with friends, watch sports, the usual.
What kind of sports?
Football. The Giants is my team.
Oh, don't get me started. They lose the first 4 games, win a few games. They're playing tonight. Are you going to watch the game?
Yeah. I'm gonna be late here. Sucks.
In your opinion, why are the projects late?
Mainly because some of us are too slow. I get my stuff done in time.
Do you talk to her about it?
I tried once. And then she goes on about some of the stuff that I put in that she wasn't expecting. But these were like minuscule changes. And they made the project so much better.
Do you talk to her while you're making the changes so she can be prepared?
No, these are like minor changes. And from my past experience, when I told her, I got resistance for making these changes in the first place. If they did not make the project so much better, I'd understand, but they do.
Do you tell Paul and the client about the changes?
No, man, these are minor changes. Clients and Paul, when they see it, they would get it. I mean, these are new clients, all right? They're not as trusting, but I have a solid track record, all right? Are we done?
Yeah, just answer
all
some
right, cool.
questions.
It's just as I thought. They are here to find fault with everyone. But if I'm not the problem, then it's a waste of time. If they would only talk to clients who love me, they'd get it.
What school do you go to?
Syracuse.
I almost went to Syracuse. I got a scholarship to Rutgers.
That's funny. I almost went to Rutgers.
Huh? Well, they're both pretty good schools. I think we both did pretty well.
Yeah, I can't complain. But I'm guessing Hank complained about me, huh?
You don't like changes.
Those are besides the point. We all agree beforehand what the project is. Any changes throws off the timeline, and when he doesn't even tell me about it, how am I supposed to track it?
How would you solve the problem?
Not have him make changes?
What if some changes are necessary for a better result?
Then let Paul and the client know and ask for a different deadline and or budget. But Hank won't do that because he doesn't want to hear no.
And how come you don't communicate better with Hank so you guys could be on the same page?
Well, you've met him, so I'm guessing you can understand why. This picture's not exactly next to the words team player.
What's your opinion of Paul?
I like Paul. He reminds me, though, of a parent who can't control his child. You know, like when you're in Target and some kid's running around out of control, and the parent just gives you that, I don't know what to do with him look. We need discipline.
Can you give me an example?
Paul used to set a clear hierarchy of priorities, and while most of them were obvious, not all of them were. It was definitely helpful to have. But then Hank threw a tantrum about being micromanaged, so he stopped. Bob seems smart, and I think he recognizes that Hank's lack of discipline is the main root of our problems. But Hank isn't going to change unless Paul makes him change, and that I'm not so confident about. But I'm crossing my fingers because something has to change.
Well, we met with everyone and identified some fairly common problems, which, fortunately, can be solved.
One obvious problem you probably saw was a rampant lack of communication.
Boy, you're not kidding. You can emphasize rampant.
Yeah. Now, while that definitely needs to be addressed, that alone will not solve their problems.
No, because even if communication isn't stellar, you can lose control of a project so quickly if you aren't organized.
That's where we come in. Elementool has the tools that helps offices organize projects.
Exactly. And in this particular case, while there are several issues, they're committing the one problem that causes the most project delays of all: scope creep.
And I like to say that as if I'm in a haunted house because it's very scary. Scope creep.
Very scary. But in layman's terms, scope creep is when we add new features or make changes to a project without updating the plan or taking into account resource limitation.
And what's important to emphasize, it's not only the scope creeper that's to blame when there's scope creeping is a problem.
Right. It's exacerbated when those that are affected by it don't communicate with their manager or team members the negative effects it's having on the project.
And when a manager's not on top of that, or they don't set clear priorities or communicate well, what happens? Chaos.
So in this next episode, you'll see Bob and I counseling Paul, Hank, and Mary on the remedies that we think need to be incorporated.
It should be for some fun viewing, so stick around.